So welcome everyone, and so happy to see you all again on this beautiful day in Puerto Vallarta and on our third call of 9Trannies. I know we've had a couple editions, and in the midst of so much change with all the Access Consciousness classes, as you know, having the prereqs for this class of foundation, you guys are also in the energy of all the change. And we have had, global foundation, the energetic facelift, the amazing energetic synthesis of being that just completed yesterday, and about to start the opening of the symphony with Dr. Anthony Mattis. And the reason I mention that is, one, acknowledging that we are in the midst of lots of change. And even if you're not attending the class, how much are you aware of the energies that are showing up? And, I'm not going to attempt in any way to give you any part of the class, but energetically, have you acknowledged how much you've received? And that might be those spaces and places where you go and you're wondering what the heck's going on, like where you think something's wrong and it might not be, or where you have a lightness or a heaviness, whatever it is. I would love to invite all of us to be in the question, truth, what am I aware of? Does this belong to me? Is this part of the change showing up with all the classes? And if it's right before this call and things are getting weird, is this part of the 9Trannies call that's about to start? Because what I find, and there was this beautiful example of this one lady in our recent class that almost didn't show up on day 2. And after speaking with her, she chose to come to class to get facilitated on the topic that was showing up for her. And the beautiful example of what she was going through and the contribution of what that was for everyone, I thought, wow, another reminder that, one, we're very, very aware. And when you have things come up, if you don't judge yourself and are willing to go to question and ask for contribution, you might be cracking open what may contribute to unlocking something that's been locked up in people's bodies and their world for a very, very long time. So I just thought I'd start with that because things have been a little weird, and you're not wrong. So I love it. Luthi goes, home plate, be aware of the energies and acts. Truth, who does this belong to? Truth, is this mine? And truth, what am I aware of? Because anytime you go to figure something out, like with your mind, you're actually giving power to the AIs, that artificial intelligence that has you go into the wrongness of you or trying to figure things out. Yes, I see a little wave, Olga. So that has not been me. But I'm saying all of this because this is part of the 9Trannies. This is part of the invitation to the 9Trannies. It's like, what would it take for all of us to be gentle and kind with us as things come up? The willingness to acknowledge them, not from, I'm so fucked up, I don't know what to do, like I'm wrong again, not from there, but really like, whoa, there's something up, like what is this? And then ask someone, hey, can you ask me a few questions? Like, you're not wrong. You're just aware. Very, very aware. And every day, as you choose to acknowledge your capacities, you will open up to receive way more awarenesses, way more different energies, different space. And it's not always comfortable. So everywhere you're looking for any comfort with this series of 9Trannies, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And what if the comfort could be the discomfort that you're inviting with what you may not know logically and cognitive anymore, but the uncomfortableness of trusting you and not looking for anyone to align and agree with you, not having to look for the reaction and the validation outside of you, but rather that trust. Okay, what is it that I know? What is it that I know? What is true for me here? That muscle, that trust will give you the space to acknowledge everything beyond this reality that you know is true, and way more the space of you. So anything that doesn't allow that, times the God saying, well, you all destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Great. So the mystery is always, well, what of the 9 trannies we have will be one selected to discuss in this call. And Simone, would you like me to take your question before we start? Or your hands up, I see that.
I was just I was re-listening to the last week's call and how, I guess it was Stella, aware of how you cannot make the time. And like with that acknowledgement, you're like, yeah, is it like that we're more connected? And like with this question, like I got, like even asking this question, I was like, there is an excitement in my world, like, whoa, what's that? For me, there was that, how much are we communicating in space? Or it's not even, communicating seems so small. It's in space is not connected to time or anything solid. There is something I cannot put into words. I'm not sure if you can help me here. Yeah.
Well, what if we don't put it into words for now? But are you acknowledging that there's a new awareness of something new? And we do use space because that somehow is one way to allow ourselves to receive the undefinable.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define space, right? So, yeah. So this is probably maybe the most challenging part, and it's acknowledging, oh, there's something different. There's something different. Great. Awesome. How does it get any better?
Yeah, and there's so much more, because to be aware of the other person, the people you create with, the amazing people, the fucked up people, like it's not just the one you create with, like you're aware of everything. And like space is in every molecule. Also in everything that's solid, there is space. It's not as much space, but every molecule has space. And like, oh, for me, there was just that kind of like a picture. You can always go through that space to something different. The solid is not a stopping point.
Okay, so all the presumptive realities, because these are the moments as you look to define something, and sometimes, not all the time, as we look and search for words, it's actually minimizing all that space you're aware of. So all the presumptive realities that we have to put words to everything we're aware of, that may limit you receiving everything that's there beyond words, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds.
Cool. That's it for now. I don't have words anymore. There was just something. I wonder what else is possible.
It is. I thank you. And for me, that's probably one of the challenges I would say with the 9 trannies is, how do we speak about them, begin to acknowledge what it is that we do know and are aware of, but also not limit them by definition. So all the definitions of what you may have of what it is to live on this planet, move on this planet, communicate on this planet, create, will you destroy and uncreate all that times Godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities that you have about who you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities that you have about what you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities that you have about where you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities you have about why you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities that you have about when you are, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And all the presumptive realities that you have of why you are, or you destroy and uncreate all that. Right, wrong, good and bad, pan, pack, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And right now in the chat, so I'm having breathing problems. So those breathing problems, so all the presumptive realities that you have of how you breathe, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Yeah, and give yourself way more space, way more space. Allow every, space in between every molecule to just expand way more. Yeah, I mean, this is where the invitation of like, wow, now your body's on fire like a fever. Great. Okay. So all the presumptive realities that we have about the temperature we must have as a body. Yes. So everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good and bad, pan, pack, all 9 sorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. Ah, got it. Not as a pathetic way. Cool. And there's also this like willingness to, as things come up, like I like it, she's like, you know, the first space that was like, wow, I'm having trouble breathing. How many of you, as we were doing those clearings, there was something changing. You're like, it's like that, wow, like all the definitions of what we have of who we are, what we are, why we are. It's like as they begin to let go and notice where many of you are like, no, don't pull that string. I won't know how to be. Now, is that true? I mean, this is where, you know, the gift of these tools and this exploration of like, what are we? Excuse me. ¿Estás aquí? One second, everyone. I have to go open the door. I'll be.
I'm gonna pause the recording.
So the space as we begin to let go of like, wow, who am I? What am I? It's like we've been holding on to these definitions and these presumptive realities to try to function on this planet. To think, I mean, we created this layer of our reality and we bought, you know, everything we thought we had to buy to be able to succeed, to function, to be loved. I mean, the list can go on. And now that invitation to go, okay, what do I know is available now? What do I know? Because if you look at the 9 trannies, and they've been listed here. And if you just jumped on, maybe we can list them again. But many of those, I'm sure there's some of them that you read and you go, oh yeah, definitely. That's, I've experienced that. But other ones you're like, how the heck is that possible? Right? And you're like, this is crazy. And yet ask yourself, is there a nudge there that tells you, I know it's possible. I just don't know how. Because otherwise, I don't know that you'd be here. You'd be, that's some crazy crock of shit. Why would I pay that money? Why would I be on that call? Like there's something that invites you to this teleseries, to these 9 trannies. And yet logically in our mind, from this reality, from many of our presumptive realities, it does not seem possible. So all the impossibilities that are tied to your presumptive realities that do not allow the 9 trannies to show themselves, to show you where you have been them, can be them, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pan, pack, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. So let's go with transmogrification today. And transmogrification is the ability to change the way you look for something different. Now, how many of you, and be honest with you, because if this is what's coming up, we can actually get beyond it. But it's like, how many of you are like, how the hell is that possible? What do you mean? Ability to change the way I look for something else. So how many of you does that seem like not possible? Or how in the heck do you do that? Or are many of you already in the space like, I know that's possible. I know that I've been that. I know that I've had that. And we have, is it Poonam? Yes, go ahead.
You just said, I know I've been there. It's like, you know, when you don't get into an outfit and you tell your body, oh my God, you want to wear that outfit, then wear it. And you suddenly find that you get into a trouser which you've not, or a dress that you've not been fitting into.
Yes. And that is, yep, exactly, transmogrification. Yes. And you know, how many of you, have you ever noticed too, those moments where, you know, I don't know, for those of you that have met me in person, sometimes people meet me and like, oh, you're so little, Sylvia. You don't seem to appear so short online, right? So where you're a certain energy, and then all of a sudden you get around certain people and you feel short, right? Whether it's clothes, like you said, all of a sudden you put something on and you feel taller, more, yeah. So you're able to change the way you look. But you were going to say something else. What is that?
My question here is, do you actually, when you say you look taller, I remember Gary and Dane talking about when they used to go to the gym together and Gary appeared the same height as Dane. And so, do you actually become physically taller, or it is the energy of being taller?
So which one's lighter for you for transmogrification?
You know what? It's like the energy is what is there, but physically, yes, it's possible.
Okay, energetically. Now, no. So is that your presumptive reality that energetically you can change things, but your physical appearance is something different?
Yeah, it is a presumptive reality, yes.
Yeah. So all the presumptive realities that locks in partially receiving what you could be receiving of transmogrification, will you destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good and bad, pun, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, co-eds, and beyonds. So now, you know, and this is the part, like those moments when I know that there's the moments I feel taller. You're right. I'm not out with my measuring stick to measure me. And yet, what's the presumptive reality there that makes the measurement more valuable than what you're perceiving, aware of?
Yes,
So
that.
everything that is, yes, everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Yep, right, wrong, good and bad, fun, fuck, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Because this is very similar to when you know there's more wealth in your world, like you know money is there, and yet then you go to your account and go, nope, there's not more there, and you totally destroy and uncreate what was showing up. Yeah, and that's where we talk about the matter part, where we have to use the justification, the reasons, the matter of this reality to measure what actually has occurred, not from what we know, but from what the measurements of reality, which is the presumptive realities of it, is it true or not, based on that rather than your knowing.
Wow. You know, and another thing for me, which is a killer to my capacity with this, has been my judgment of my body.
Mhm.
You know, oh, I'm not looking good, so I'm not going to go live on Insta, or I put on weight and I don't look nice. It's like no matter how much of interesting point of view you be with it, or you tell your body, show me how you'd like to look, somewhere down the line, like I was out at a party tonight, and when I came back and I looked at the photographs, I dynamically judged my body. What if I could have told my body to show how it wanted to look? And I've done that before, and people turn around and lust, you know what I mean?
So let's play with something, and possibly part of the home play, because I've gotten to hear Gary say certain things to people, and the energy of the ease that's available to us by our request. Okay, and this is part of the 920s, like there is an ease available. And please, I hope you all know that I wish I could say, you know, that yes, I have them mastered. No, and yet I have many stories of when they've actualized in my world, or they're very clear in my world. And I keep asking for more. And I've heard Gary, there was one time this young gentleman, and he was giving him a hug, and the guy was like, oh, Gary's all, do you work out? And he's all, yes. He goes, then he taps his stomach and he's all, but I haven't in a while, you know? And Gary, in the most incredible space of ease, joy, glory, was like, why don't you do this? And I thought, wow, is it really that easy? And, but his space of why don't you just ask had no judgment tied to it. When we have judgment, this is part of what when we talked on the very first day or the very first call, it was that, is that judgment will be the anchors that will keep your presumptive realities and this reality holding you back from having the magic, the speed, the space of actualizing and manifesting what you are asking for with total ease. So I wonder what it would be like to begin to explore, you know, those moments that come up, like say this example that you're sharing about your body and all the judgments you have of it, and just go, wow, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Like, wow, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Truth, does that belong to me? Right? And you're like,
It
wow,
knocks.
exactly. So if you started to destroy and uncreate all those things that are tied to the judgment, allow yourself to be present with them, because somewhere along the line, we pick that up. And the judgments begin to create what ends up showing up, right? The more we judge our fat belly or fat butt, whatever it is, it's going to keep showing up that way. So it's the willingness to have the kindness again with your body and receiving your body and acknowledging that you've created what you've created so far, not right or wrong. And then the beginning to go, wow, okay, body, what would it take for us to be lean? Like, what would it take to be fit? Like, how would you like to look? You know, and allow that ease and that joy. Because once you have that space, then if you have to walk through a crowd and show up as a man, what if you could show up as a man? And your body's all, I got you. I got your back. You know, but if we're not willing to ask from the space of no judgment, it won't show up. We go to the presumptive realities of it's not possible. I needed to work out. I ate too much cake, blah, 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 blah. Right? So, yeah. So what if we played? What if we played and just, you know, allowed maybe this next week to just notice all the presumptive realities we have about our body, about what it takes to change your body, what it means to have a body. So what does it mean to you to have a body? Yeah, all of that. Will we all destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. How many of you are still angry for having a body? And everything that is and everything that brings up, will you all destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. How many of you are angry for the culture you grew up in that you blame for the body that you have? So everything that is, everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Jesse's all, again? What was that? Well, if you notice, we have created in this reality that if you're born in India, or if you're born in Mexico, and depending on what part of Mexico, if you're born, you know, in Switzerland or Japan, does it not create, quote unquote, how you look and what you can look like. Yeah. So how many are like, why'd I fucking come in as a short Mexican this lifetime? What the fuck? We eat way too many tortillas, enchiladas, like tamales for breakfast. That sucks. It's in my genes. So everything you have about your culture and race, that you've limited what you can choose and be and have show up as your body, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. I have to share this joke. There was a couple, maybe last year or the year before, it was my birthday and we were here in Puerto Vallarta and we had this big party and it was a couple of our birthdays. So Dane bought us each a huge bouquet of flowers, beautiful. But his sister, Sarah, thought it would be great to have a theme with every flower for the person. So I think it was Emily Russell. She had the hot pink, you know, she's got kind of this theme with hot pink. And for Sylvia, she said, for Sylvia, let's do like, you know, in the US, there's these candies, hot tamales. Like, what if we had that strong through the flowers and it'd be these hot tamales, you know, meaning, you know, sexy in that energy. Well, I get to the party and, you know, they ordered the flowers here in Puerto Vallarta and they were like, you know, like hot tamale. There was literally tamales in their husks strung through the flower bouquet. So when they gave me the flowers, I'm all, okay, thank you. And then later Dane said, he goes, oh, he told me the joke. He said, we thought we were going to be candies, hot tamales. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Dane. Starting to take it personal that I look like a tamale. So if you've never had a Mexican tamale, it's a corn husk with lots of dough in the middle, wrapped up nice and chunky. And anyways, a little side note there, but really funny about, you know, things we take personal that we tie with our culture, our race, and our body sizes often. Because notice what occurs if you do not look like your family. What's the joke? In Mexico, they say, you must belong to the milkman, you know, because you don't look like anyone in your family. So how many of you have the presumptive realities, the postman, yeah. How many of you have the presumptive reality that you have to look like your family and your culture, and you cannot go beyond that? Right. So everything that is and everything that brings up, right and wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Now, let me ask you a different question. How many of you have gone away either to college or to live in a different country, and then you come back to visit your family and you don't fit in now? You don't look like them. Yeah. So everything that is and everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyond. So all the presumptive realities that you have to assimilate to be like, physically, energetically, and all the pains, paths of everything to belong to your culture or family that limit you accessing and being transmogrific. Which one are we doing? Transmogrification. Will you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right, wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. So all those definitions that you're searching to fit into, to be like, will limit you in what you can have with transmogrification and the ability to change the way you look. So everywhere you're not willing to be different and not fit in and be the same and normal as everyone else, will you destroy and create it all? Right, wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And everywhere you're limiting your choices by all the presumptive realities that you have with your family, your culture, your religion, your country, your hemisphere. Oh, wow. Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds.
Is the DNA a presumptive reality too?
What do you get? Yes or no? Which one's lighter?
I get a yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So we can get rid of our DNA.
Yeah. So So now just play with, wow, let's just play with the if, right? So it's light. So if DNA is a presumptive reality, then what's possible? But notice just even contemplating that, notice how much you become aware of that's created already because we have bought that DNA is real for you as a humanoid. There's already so much that's embedded on what you can choose, it's the list is long.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. So everything that is and everything that brings up, yeah. Just to begin to question it starts to dismantle the hold of it and the power of it. Okay. So this is like the power of the question. You begin to ask yourself certain questions and go with light and heavy and step out of the cognitive mind. Wow, what else is possible? But notice for some of you, as you start, as we start to do that, how it starts, there's a sensation maybe in your body going like, what the heck? Yeah. Cool. So what else is possible?
Thank you.
You are so welcome. There was something that I heard, and I think it might have been a replay of the ESB that Dr. Dane just had, but I heard it in a different way. How many of you have seen the movie The Matrix? And if it's been a while, maybe watch it again. But you know, it's interesting because there's so many different parts to that series of movies. And as he chooses either the blue pill or the red pill, and he chooses to step out of the matrix, notice what's on the other side. Is it like garden, oasis, the beauty, oh, what I've always known, the golden planet, perhaps? No, it's a dark, ugly, right? You're like, I don't know that I want to go beyond this reality. It's dark and ugly. So all the presumptive realities that you have of what it's going to be like if you let go of your presumptive realities that hold your reality in place, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Yeah. Right, wrong, good and bad, pun, pack, all nine shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. I would say that the only or the few things I have to go with for myself, and this is where you will search, what is that for you? I get to hear some pretty incredible stories, and even my own that seem unbelievable and unreal. But there's stories that I get to hear of people making requests and things being actualized or manifested in a magical way. So I'm all like, okay, that's possible for that person. You know, one of the stories that's just amazing for me was when Gary shared that he wanted Frisian horses. He was looking to have Frisian horses, beautiful black, shiny black coated Frisian horses. Not that that's his request, but he wanted some. And in a very short period of time, I would almost say within a week or two, there was this big storm in Texas where ranches were flooding. And his ranch manager, was able to go help some neighbors get some horses out of their ranches as they were stuck in the flood. And in the midst of that, his ranch manager discovered that there was this nearby ranch that had a lot of Frisian horses that weren't doing very well. So he told Gary, oh, you won't believe this. He's all, offer him some money for the Frisian horses. And in that interaction, Gary ended up with a very low price with 60 Frisian horses. 60 at a ridiculous cheap amount of money. So, and then you'll hear Gary share some stories and he'll chuckle and he goes, but that's his reality. He knows he'll ask. He's not attached of how it will show up, but he knows it'll show up. And he just chuckles, like, yep. And I'm like, all right. And there's other times he's asking other questions and asking for change and it doesn't show up maybe in the most comfortable way. He had shingles for the longest time where he, through the questions, the gift for all of us and the body processes that came out from that, right? So how many presumptive realities do we have that using these access consciousness tools or being in the question, or even with these 9 trannies, that life is going to look like a certain way? So are you willing to destroy all of that? Because I wonder what is possible if we clear those presumptive realities for us to truly ask for what we'd like to ask and have it show up with total ease, and maybe not in the way you thought. And the only way I say we can is to begin to play. One, to clear all the heaviness of our judgment and, the presumptive realities, the need for reactive realities that gives us the reason and justification of why something can't show up, or to prove how we were right with our presumptive realities. So if we're willing to play and clear that, notice the energies that come up, notice the thoughts, but go beyond that to find what's true for you. It's like, I wonder. And I say start, explore, notice what's different. So yeah, so that for now. And Estella, you have a question?
I wanted to share something that when you were talking about, okay, let's go through transmogrification. I was just like, oh, that happened to me last week when I went to go and get a haircut, and I got really freaked out because as soon as the guy started cutting my hair, my whole face changed. Like I was just like staring at the mirror and seeing me, but it wasn't me. And it was just like, so I had like this little moments of panic in front of the mirror. Like, is he seeing what I'm seeing? Is he seeing that I'm not myself? And like, how is this possible? And just like the little moment of panic, like this is before my eyes. But then again, in the end, I was just like, it's still not me, but it's a better version. Just like,
Okay, can I stop you there?
yes.
Okay, it's still not me, but it's a better version. So that is like do you guys get, like, how many of you have that in different areas of your life? But it's not me, but it's a better version. That's still from this reality.
No, it's slightly better, but still not the best I can be.
Yes.
Ah.
So what would it be like? And this is to explore. What would it be like for you to be the infinite being?
Was it me? No. All right. What would it take? Come back, Sylvia.
Find yourself look like.
He was just about to give me the answer, you guys. The answer, the one and
What do
only.
you know? What do you truly know?
No. So
And now you have to complete the sentence.
And I have
What
to
do
write
I
the
know?
clearings at like the clearings in the middle. So how to end the clearing?
well, it's what do I know about 9 trannies? What would it take to be the infinite being that I truly be for all eternity? And the rest is just fun fiction. So we'll get the final clearing when Sylvia comes back. Maybe translator, let's pause the recording.
All right, everyone. I'm not sure what that was, but we're back. Never give up, never quit. So Stella, you were talking about and making reference to something.
Yes, I was talking about the haircut, how I changed, and how it was just like a better version. Then we got to the point you asked me, what would it take to be an infinite being? And then you were cut out because I was just like, give me the answer, Sylvia.
Oh, I did hear you say that. So what I was saying is, like, as an infinite being, can you be anything? Can you, and this is, I mean, transmogrification is that willingness to change the way you look. So what are we refusing to choose, be it a haircut or anything else, that will have you change the way you look? But if you are refusing to change the way you look, but what you've defined you look like, you know, how many of you would never consider dyeing your hair blonde because that would not be you? That would not look like you, right? And I'm talking about the physical action of changing a hair color, a haircut, a hairstyle. And yet, how will we ever ask for us to change the way we show up in the world if we're so tied to the definition of what we look like? So everything that is and everything that brings up, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds.
And I wanted to add sort of like on this moment of panic, I was just like, who am I? Who am I? How much I was trying to find myself back. It's just like, that's, and then I guess that cuts the magic. Like I could have relaxed and just like, okay, whatever this is, let it go. But it was just like, oh no.
And what a beautiful gift too, to have that show up for you to get to this.
Yeah.
Because this is the other thing, you know, just like in our previous questions, like, wow, I just saw some photos and I caught myself like judging me. It's like, okay, that's can be a gift if you're willing to receive that, because now you have something present that you can look at it. If you're willing to look at it, it's like, wow, I am so whatever, with a strong point of view of this or that, and going, wow, interesting. Gives you a chance to notice where are those fixed definitions and points of views that if you're willing to change will give you freedom to be, to ask, and to change. Yeah. And
it's showing up in a different way, like asking for more of myself and just like, okay, where can I unhide? And then it shows up in a very different way. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Stella. Any other question? Yes, Rico.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi.
Not so much a question, but I had this experience where I was in a public place and I saw myself in the mirror and my eyes getting like smaller and smaller. And it dawned on me that I was all the projections from everybody, that being Asian, having a smaller eyes, and my body started to change it. And I was like, wow. So that's how much the people project on you from, you know, who you look and where you're from. And yeah, so it was just really amazing how much that kind of, for me at that time, that was a great awareness for me. Okay, so this is the projection and my body is changing because of it, but we can change it to something totally different. I'm just going to quickly translate.
Okay. Awesome. And thank you for this, because this is, I mean, if you look at, I mean, what you just said is that you started to, you acknowledge that people have projections on you for being Asian, right? For what you look like, physically, your eyes, your height, and all that. Has there been a moment where you've interacted with people and that seems to not even be there? She says, yes, she's nodding. And it's interesting. And then the moment, you know, where people ask you, where are you from? right? And then they, you say, wherever you're from, how many people then all of a sudden go, and there's new projections of what that must mean of you. So all the projections, expectations, separations, judgments, rejections that all of you have had, received, bought as true about your body, about your appearance, about what you're capable to change, not capable to change, of what's possible and impossible for you. Will you now destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And all the invented, adopted, presumptive realities that you have, will you destroy and uncreate all that? And artificial presumptive realities, that was the other one. Will you destroy and uncreate all that about your body, your appearance, and the impossibility of what you can choose with your body? Will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. And those projections are the ones that are many oftentimes are unspoken. So how many presumptive realities do you have and are you using to create the body you are choosing? Everything that is, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Just a few. In the chat, body, can we not listen to everybody else? Well, this is where, what will it take for your body not to listen to anyone? What would you, it's like when I was riding a horse, there was one particular time I was riding a horse, and I knew Gary was on the ranch, and I was like, wow, like I was having some challenges, and I was going, what does Gary know about horse riding? And then I looked at the guy leading the ride, and I was like, wait, what does he know? And then I caught myself. I was like, wait a moment. What do I know about writing? And there was this energy that was present. It's like, wow, what do I know? What does my body know? And what have we known in many lifetimes? And then my whole body relaxed and the horse relaxed. So what if it's time for us to ask, what is it that I know? We keep going, okay, let's not listen to anyone else. Okay, what if we listen and start to ask, what is it that we know? And we put more attention on that. I'm so grateful, I have different people that I work with. These are either the hosting team or my own business team. And there's one particular girl and a young lady in my team that there's things that show up and she's like, Sylvia, I had that awareness. I'm like, you gotta say something, but it's almost like there's this idea like you should never, like if Gary was to say something, I should never question him, right? It's like, you sure? Is there something else, right? But I'm like, please always ask me like, okay, is there something else? Like, what if you have an awareness that other people may not have? What if you have an information where you can unlock something we can all then receive? So what would it take for you to trust what it is that you know and allow others, myself or anyone else, to invite you with a question, not a conclusion of what it is you might know. So anything that doesn't allow that times of God's own way, just try and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, povets, and beyonds. Yes, Jenny.
As we started this call, and since Global Foundation and even before, I've been, and I'm trying to get out of my head, but I can't help it. I've been very dizzy, almost like with vertigo. My ears are clogged. Right now, my body's all, and I'm trying not to make it wrong.
Okay,
And
hold on. I'm gonna stop you because this is the part where we want to catch ourselves. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get out of my head, but I can't.
Yes.
Is that truth? Is that a presumptive reality?
Yes.
Okay, so all the presumptive realities that you have either invented, adopted, or that are artificial about that you can't get out of your head.
Yes.
Will you destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Okay, notice the pull on that's impossible. Like just, yeah, like how much is like, but how, Sylvia? Yeah, that's when you know you really have a strong presumptive
Something.
reality. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that's not possible. It's almost like I would have to die to get out of my head. Okay, so
Yeah, and,
so
and what awareness is this?
yeah, well, yeah, like how much is part of the AI is to be in your head, to figure things out, to prove them, to justify them, to give reason, to figure it out, all that. Yep. So all of that, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, pobads, and beyonds. And the thing is, one of the things that's coming up right now, as we are destroying and then creating more of the presumptive realities, the AIs are having a bigger intense pull.
Mm.
Okay. So if if you acknowledge that, now will you acknowledge like, oh, fuck, it almost seems more intense, right?
Mhm.
It's
Definitely.
dams. Okay. And so then go, wow, everything that is. Yeah. Everything. Yeah. And everything that is, whether it's energetic or you have a clarity of it, it's just like, wow, everything that is, I'm not going there. What's true? What's lighter? Now, the other thing to be aware of as you destroy and then create all that and let that go, you're right. There is a different sense in our bodies. And that's, Gary has added the sepia and the rescue remedy back into the manuals.
Okay.
Because the being is changing and the body's going, what the fuck? Who's in my body? Who's here? Right? So what do you require to have more ease as you, the space of your being with your body now? Have you taken any rescue remedy or sepia lately?
I have it in my purse. I'm gonna take it.
Okay. And ask how much your body would like,
Okay.
because it may be different than the instructions, but truly allow yourself to ask what's going to give you more ease with the change you are having.
Okay. Yeah, because it started with foundation, and how
Yeah.
does it get any better?
But that was one potent motherfucking class. There were so many people
Ooh.
who were pocket potting lots of stuff. So yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
cool. And as you pocket pod the presumptive realities, continue to ask, what could I change that I have not acknowledged?
Okay. Beautiful.
Because as you clear the presumptive realities, you got to also know that you are a creative being. So what can I change I haven't acknowledged? And all the presumptive realities that I have that doesn't allow me to change that. Pocket pod.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and then there's some of you that are so, so kind and caring and always worried about everybody else that you don't want to change too much too fast because that would make other people uncomfortable. You know, one lady said the other day to me, she's all, Sylvia, do you not have any gray hair? And I should have told her none. But it was just like, she was like really wondering, like, this lady's strange. Do you not have any gray hair? But how much did I give her an image of gray hair so that she would feel comfortable with the gray hair she's choosing? So what are you creating with your body and how are you choosing to have your body show up so everybody else is comfortable? Like turning down your sexualness, turning down what, all sorts of different things you are all choosing so you don't make other people uncomfortable. So they are comfortable and you're so caring and kind. Like, that was part of that story of Dane in the gym, when he would talk about that, he'd go to the gym and depending who was around, he would shrink so that they wouldn't feel bad about themselves. That's transmogrification, but not in your favor. But what if you could acknowledge you could change your body anywhere, but by choice? Like, all right, I'll make myself 2 inches shorter. Sure. or I'll make myself 2 inches taller. Or I allow myself to have the voluptuous breasts that people think I shouldn't have because of my culture or race or religion. Cool. What else is possible? Oh, thank you, Sabrina. I think Sabrina's offering something to Jenny. And it's that's a body process, restoration of proprioception. Yeah. You want to open your mic, Sabrina?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, when she was talking, I got like, I've been there, like this vertigo sensation. And when they gave that process, it like really helped me a ton. You just have to put like your hands in your ears, like 6 or 9 inches or whatever, and just ask for restoration of proprioception to run. And maybe that'll work. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you. And that process came from Gary having that experience, a lot of vertigo. And I love it because, you know, Gary's always like, so like with all these different things, it's like, all right, if you don't make it a big deal, okay, something's different. And what would it take to have more ease? Not from something is wrong, but what would it take to have more ease with that change in what you're aware of? Awesome. All right. And now we have Marieke, is it?
Mareike.
Marieke. What language is that?
That's German.
German, Marieke. Yes.
It's actually a Dutch name, but we use it in Germany as well.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I just want to acknowledge something. As you've been talking, I was just in the beginning, I was just like transmogrification. I've never done that. I've never heard about that. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this all the time because when it's just a couple of years ago, I did give a seminar on nonviolent communication, and I did have an attendee, and she said I only knew her online, and it was the first time we met live, and she said, "Wow, you look so different. You're just like a chameleon. Like whenever I see you online, you look different." And I was like, I was just remembering this saying here, and I was like, what, am I doing this all the time? Because I've changed hair color so frequently, like from getting from long hair to short hair, and it also changes my whole, way I'm looking.
So when you ask, have I been doing this? Have you? So have you? Truth.
Yes, and just for fun.
Yes, exactly. So this is the gift as you start to acknowledge, like, oh, I have been doing that. And you've been doing it for the fun of it, right? Not significant, but it's like, all right, so if I've been doing it, what else could I choose to create with transmogrification? Because you know the energy. This is like the beginning, like when people are like, oh yeah, I asked for a parking spot and I got a parking spot. Yay, magic. So now you're like, yes, chameleon, and you start to acknowledge where, but now ask, all right, if I can choose that, what else could I create with transmogrification? Notice the energy. Yes.
Yeah, it's just like, ooh, I just can't wait to play with it because it's just I was at the beginning I was just like, oh wow, this is something I will never figure out. And then I'm just like, well, I do it all the time.
Yes, exactly. And how else? And how else? And what else can I choose to create with this capacity?
Yes, and how can I use it for my advantage in a way that, being contributive or just, having more space in the world or more fun.
Okay, and I'm gonna just add another question there. So have you already used it to your advantage? True.
That's light, yes.
Okay, because you got to acknowledge that as well. But notice how it hasn't been a thinking. It hasn't been, I will now use transmogrification.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been just like a feeling like, oh, I gotta get my hair cut, or I gotta get to change my hair color, or I gotta get a new dress or something like that. It's rather something that comes up,
Yes. And that's the space of being. That is the space of being that will allow all 9 trannies to show up with total ease. It's when we go into the effort and the thinking and the figuring out that we actually are not being the 9 trannies. This is part of it, and thank you for this part, because this is where the invitation through the rest of the clause will continue to be for you to acknowledge where you have already been this, that didn't feel like anything. It didn't have the heaviness of figuring it out.
Exactly. That was so easy. And thank you so much, because now I've got a clue, like, this is the energy. That's so cool.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. So what if part of the home play is to, it's like, okay, let me ask you this question, and maybe this is what you continue to ask, and we add that to all of them, but what do you be, know, perceive, and receive that you have not been willing to be, know, perceive, and receive with transmagrification? Okay, so everything that is and everything that brings up, we're just trying to create it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pun, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Because this is a beautiful example of the lightness of being the 9 trannies. And now, I love how you said it, I now have a clue to the energy of that. I do know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. That lightness, I'm just going to highlight it one more time. The lightness of what's true for you when you're being you doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't. And unfortunately, we keep looking for some like heaviness of thoughts, of figuring things out, understanding that that actually sticks us more in this reality. So where have you been transmogrification? Where have been those days where, oop, your body's feeling a certain way, and then you choose something and it's different. And you're like, that was only 1 hour ago. What's up? And it's so interesting. So those of you probably now are clear that I've been in Puerto Vallarta on a long tour with Access Consciousness, and we're coming into the last event. But I had my beautiful roommate who said one morning, just a couple of days ago, "Are you tired now?" I just laughed. I'm all, oh, people are waiting for me to be tired. I did use that line on someone this morning, but I was like, oh yeah. Oh, because I messaged him at 4 a.m. I was like, with my tired voice, not making any sense. I was like, yeah, I was tired. But it's like, what do we create so that people have their reality, their presumptive reality, that if you're working that much, that many hours, then you must be tired. And if you're not being real. So everything you're creating with your body so that you're normal, real, and the same like everyone else, well, you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pun, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And that's where we then have the need of the reactive realities. We end up creating the need of the reactive realities of, yes, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, all of that, my black eyes, I didn't sleep, my dark circles, whatever, I'm bloated because of this, like all the things that we go to use to justify what we're choosing with our bodies, rather than like, okay, what do I know is possible here? Yeah. And then Simona just said, wow, to make others feel better, choosing limitations. Yeah. So how many limitations with your body are you choosing to make other people feel better? Everything that is, yes, I got it. Well, you destroyed and created all. Right and wrong, good and bad, pun, pock, all 9 shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So in case you guys missed it, Simone flipped me off with 2 fingers. Well, yes. And the reason I say yes, because she's then aware of a space where she's actually choosing that and actually being called out on it. It's like, because if you didn't choose your limitations, how many people would be uncomfortable with you because you don't fit into the normal box already as it is? And if you were okay not fitting into the normal box, that would be weird and wrong. And they would have to look at where they're functioning from. Yeah. So everywhere you're not choosing to be the catalyst for that different reality by choosing to be all of you in the space of you outside the box of this reality, not as a fighting of this reality, but more of the energy of fighting for what it is that you know and be. And anything that doesn't allow that, times God said, we destroy and create it all. Right, wrong, good and bad, fun, puck, all nine shorts, boys, povets, and beyond. And that last way that I use that energy of fighting for your reality is it's a space of relaxation to have your knowing and not let anybody else waver that. Anyone else. You willing to laugh at yourself, you willing to get it wrong, you willing to just, yeah, ask what you think might be a silly question or what you might perceive others will judge, and just keep going with no judgment. It's not about getting it perfect. There is no such thing. So all the presumptive realities of perfection, of body and everything else, well, we all destroy and uncreate all that. Right and wrong, good and bad, pan, pac, all nine shorts, boys, povats, and beyonds. So where could you play with transmogrification this week? Begin to ask for it to show up when you're being it. Invite your body to show you where you have been, can be transmogrification, not from the judgment of it, from the play of it. It's like, oh, you know, if you're a man or if you're a woman, you can ask, what would it take to have a penis a little bigger this week? Like, let's just play, body. I mean, I don't know, maybe your hair, you know, darker, lighter, like play with it and just notice, just for you, just for fun. You know, there's not a lot of people you can talk to about this, like, all right, we should get the white jacket, cuckoo, cuckoo. But maybe the cuckoo part is not allowing yourself to play. So I'm going to play. I'm going to play in a new way, and we can check in with each other next week. But it's like, all right. You know, that's part of what this series invites me to also go, all right, like we've chosen and created what we've created so far. And where's that other space that we can play, and what can we acknowledge? But where can I use presumptive realities, you know, to create something greater than I ever imagined? I won't know if I don't ask. Cool. Simone.
Just a short little thing, like I remember like in the beginning of Access, I changed a lot of times my hair cut and color, all the things to give something to the people. Like it's just a hair, not that everything in my life has changed. And sometimes I can see the change in me, but sometimes I look normal to me, but others have that. Like, is it possible that others see something different? Like, and sometimes I also wonder, do they see the being changing and just think it's the body?
So what?
Or
Yeah, like how many people it is, as you, the being changes, people perceive you energetically different, and then they search to define the change to match something physical, something tangible from their reality. Oh, you colored your hair. Oh, you're using different lipstick. I mean, people will make up the craziest things, right? Everything to make themselves comfortable with the change you are choosing.
And in the beginning, I really did change the hair because like, I'm fine for people acknowledging the hair is different and letting the rest unravel, you know, like, I guess I used it to my advantage. It's like, yeah, it's the hair.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It's the hair, and leave it. Exactly. But you know that the change is very, very different. Yeah. And this is where, how can you use that more to your advantage? Allowing yourself to be so different, acknowledging your capacities, but show up the way that people need you to show up. So
I
you,
have it. Yeah.
yes, go ahead.
Sometimes walking through the streets, people look like up, down, up, down. It's like, what's going on? Yeah.
And so if you didn't resist or fight that or try to understand that, what if you turned it up and you allow them to see whatever they're seeing, and you receive that and just keep walking?
Yeah, I wonder, there's so much more. I guess I'm just using like a little piece of the whole chunk here.
What if there are a few people that as you walk through the street or in a crowd that can spot out the anomaly you truly be?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes it's the kids, sometimes it's the pets. They're like, oh, you look, well, you know, they start to look at you and wave at you because they're like, oh, finally, someone else here that's willing to be different and not a zombie walking like everyone else.
I like was listening to the last call. I asked like, okay, what would it be like me to play with that, being seen, being not being seen? Like, I know I have a capacity to be invisible, and mostly I choose like you, like don't like to talk to all the people all the time. Like I'm not, yeah, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, but what if I would really ask like, what energy can I be and just be seen by people that are willing to add to me having a greater life? And later I went for food and there was a lady, like she was nearly staring at me as I would be famous. Like, this is interesting and fun. Like I'm so grateful for the questions and all the energies and spaces here in the play.
And, you know, as people look at you, you're asking to be seen. What if you just drop your barriers and receive and don't have to do anything?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, people will do what they do with that, right? They'll either judge themselves, adore you, envy you, hate you. I mean, there's all sorts of things of what they can choose. But how much fun could you have with that? Just, oh, cool. And then play, okay, now I'm going to walk in and make myself invisible. Cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to walk in and say, you do come to Mexico for Symphony of Possibilities in April. So you come and you're like, wow, what would it be like to have the energy and show up as a Mexican so no one bothers me? And then you might find everybody talking to you in Spanish. And you're like, what the heck's going on? I don't know Spanish. But everyone's like, are you sure? I thought you were Mexican. There's blonde Mexicans in Mexico. You know what I mean? So where can you play with it? Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Sylvia, and to all the calls, everyone, all the questions. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And Bonan, did you have one more thing to add?
It's Poonam.
Poonam.
Sylvia, I remember when I was new to Access and I did this class years ago with it was Gary, Dane, Simone, and maybe Brendan. It was called the Newton's Choose It or Lose It class. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Gary had, or Dane had spoken about the humanoid mask, the human mask that we wear.
Yes.
Can you speak a little more about that, please?
Well, it's interesting because that's a very old story that Gary shared one day. And he talked about one is to, so part of that energy is to acknowledge that there's things that we're choosing to be normal and the same as everyone else. So we don't freak people out. So other people are comfortable. And one of the things that Dane had become aware of is that human mask. Like we put on this mask. So it's like, all right, you see me in a way that seems like everybody else, right? So that normal and the same, that Indian face or that Mexican face or that man or kind, whatever it is. So one day he chose, I'm not putting on the mask today. I'm not going to put it on. Now, as he chose that, it wasn't a definition of what that mask, like when you hang on your wall and you actually see what it looks like, but he just asked, I'm not putting it on today. And what he discovered, you know, Dane is a very handsome young man, right? With what we often see. So to have him then go into a restaurant and he opened the door and there was a couple coming out with their baby, that lady screamed like as she saw something. I mean, it was this, she was frightened by what she saw. So it was like, you know, it was just this awareness, there is something here that's so different that will freak people out. So what are you aware of and what do you actually be that you're refusing to show because it will freak people out?
That is my question. It's for me, I be an energy at times where I freak people out. People are scared.
Yeah.
And that works to my advantage and that works to my disadvantage as well. Because if I go to the hair salon or I go for a facial, the staff is scared of me. I don't have staff lasting at home because they're scared of me. It's like, okay, here she comes. And what I am aware of it and I'm in question, but what I do is at times I get into that, oh shit, okay, why are they scared of me? Maybe they don't like me, maybe there's something scary about me.
Okay,
But
that's,
if I know that it's a power and potency that I have and I make myself small.
but, okay. And right there, that's the need of the reactive reality. When you go into the why to understand, you go into the wrongness of you, that's the need of the reactive reality. And that's part of the pool of the AI, rather than like, they got freaked out. Okay. What if it doesn't mean anything about you?
The point is I'm aware of it and I have no point of view about it. It's to deal with this reality when you are scary.
So what if you don't need to deal with this reality when you're scaring? They need to deal with you.
And they run away.
Okay. So if those run away, who are the ones that won't run away? And looking at what you would like to create, start to ask, what would you like to create? And then choose whatever is required.
You know, I was in question. And what's showing up for me now is I was so dynamically trying to fit in here rather than make it work for me. Thank you for this.
You're welcome. And as you choose to be more space, people will not know what to do with you. And just notice that. And notice if you go to minimize it to make others comfortable, rather than turning it up and just going, oh, well, that one's here anymore. They all ran. And again, ask, what is it that you'd like to create? Because if you're clear on what you'd like to create, then you have so many tools and capacities to create that with. And if that means you turn yourself into this soft jelly, malleable energy and yumminess for them to receive you, for you to create what you'd like to create, then you create that. But if the energy and what's required is for you to be this other energy of what they know will get whatever it is that needs to be done gets done, okay, you be that. But that's the gift of willing to know that by your request and your awareness of what's required, that anything is possible. But if you have a definition of who and what and where and why and when you are, you will not have everything available. So what would you like to create? And then from there, cool.
And what about the mask? Can we take our masks off too?
Try it. Try it for a day. All right. And just catch yourselves taking it off. I'm taking it off. I'm going to take it off. Play with it. What is it for you? What is that like for you? Notice where you're like, I shouldn't take it off here. I should have it on. What's my mask? I don't even know. Okay. Whatever the mask is, am I willing to take it off? Are you willing to take it off? And maybe, what if you played with in front of the mirror? Mask on, mask
I'm
off.
done.
Play
done.
with it and see what shows up. And just, I say play. You might open up a new space, new questions, new awarenesses with that exercise.
Another question that I have is, how is the humanoid body different from a human body?
In so many ways. I mean, just ask, let's start with the first question. Is a humanoid body different than a human body? Yes or no? Okay, so that's the first acknowledgement. Now, notice if you're looking for the definitions and conclusions of exactly what that is. Because for me, we're still exploring what that is. But the first step is going, is there a difference? Yeah. So, wow, what do I know about my humanoid body I have not acknowledged? and start there. What else do I know? How does my body function different? And where am I, the word bastardizing my humanoid body to fit in with other human bodies? You know, how many of you either live with or have relatives that are human and you're desperately still trying to fit in? So you're changing your body and everything about what you're capable of to fit in, to be loved. Yeah. So everything that is, and that is a version of transmogrification. Okay, this is the part where that is your capacity, and perhaps not in a way you could be using it to really empower you to be all that you can be. But you got to acknowledge you're still using the capacity.
It's like my body, medication, no. I'm just wondering whether it's so humanoid that it doesn't desire or require medication most of the time.
I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, note, you get it, this explore if you're going into a different country, if you're going to visit your family, are you eating different? Are you have like, how do you be with your body? How do you show up? You know, it's so interesting. I'm 2 hours away from where my parents live and they're like, come visit. And I'm already aware of all these different things with my body, my being, just to consider going to go visit them. And I had invited them here to come visit me in Puerto Vallarta. So what if we didn't have to change the way we look to fit into other people's realities? What if it's a choice? And what is it that you'd like to create? So would I, ask yourself, okay, I'm going to go visit them. What would create the most ease? Not because I have to, I should, or I need to, but from the choice of what's going to create the most. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for a dynamic conversation and possibilities and questions here about what's available for us. And I would say in this next week, be gentle with you. You may become more aware of where you change you to fit other people's needs, desires, and wants. It's not wrong, but it is part of this capacity that you have. So then just ask, okay, if I was having my reality, what would I choose right now? None of it is right or wrong. It's all just a choice. All of it is just a choice. None of it is wrong or right. None of it. None of it, none of it, none of it. Not right, not wrong. You are not right, you are not wrong. You are not right, you are not wrong. And you are right and you are wrong. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. And nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. And nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And I'm grateful for this undefined space and questions that we keep opening up with these calls. I'd like to say it made no sense, and yet it made sense. And then just continue to be in what is it that you know about transmogrification and all the presumptive realities that are keeping you from being, knowing, perceiving, and receiving everything that you know and be about with transmogrification. Will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good and bad, pan, pack, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And how and what could you choose to have fun with transmogrification? So if you weren't judging you, your body, or anything you've chosen, what could you choose to play with? Cool. Enjoy your week. Please stay tuned. There may be a slight change on our time for our next call. I'm looking at my schedule, and as you know, we're in the midst of a lot of time zone changes. So I'll check with our translators first to make sure they can be on, and then we'll let you know about the slight time change. So I hope to have that everybody out today, at the latest tomorrow, so you can make your adjustments in your own time. Please check the time link, as like I said, time zone changes are changing and different. So click on the time link that we give you so you have the correct one for the next call. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Enjoy you and your incredible capacities. Ciao.